Are we going to have a new world heavyweight champion 3 weeks after WrestleMania? I don't know, but I'm really interested to see how this is going to go. And we're going to talk about it. So, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, joined by Mr. T. Reese and Mr. Sean O'Neill. And, fellas, Monday Night Raw was the go home show for Backlash. And as Raw has been, it was a pretty good show. I'd like to get into that main event segment, though. I mean, if we go by standard WWE booking, Jacob has gotten the high ground, as you can see to my left, maybe some of your right, two times in a row now, which typically means that the incumbent will win. But it's really interesting that they're going with that banned move segment and how Jacob just keeps getting him in that tongue and death grip. So, what do you guys think? Reese, let me pass it to you first. How do you think this backlash thing is going to go, and where do we go from here?
First of all, can I say this? Since the Cody Roman storyline, this is taken over as the most powerful storyline in a very long in a while. Because that whole I was engaged in a contract signing. I've never been that engaged in a contract signing. So it almost felt real on TV. How it was great. I I think you're right about the incumbent thing. I do think the Usos are probably maybe going to get involved and cause the match, so it's not like a clean finish. You know what I mean? Just to save face. But the way they're driving this storyline, I didn't think they could turn it around this quick. This storyline. Remember, we were like, "Well, dang! Just going to throw Fatu in there for no reason," and they actually came up with something that makes complete sense. And I love the
Yeah.
behind the scenes stuff with the Usos and Solo now is back involved in everything. They're doing a hell of a job with this right now.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. And I also wasn't sure if they were going to be able to turn it around as quickly as they did. Sean, what did you make of this segment and I guess just the presentation of Jacob as just going from where he was on SmackDown, kind of like being, I don't want to say stuck because he sort of was in that main event scene a little bit, but I don't know if there was good follow up to his feud with McIntyre, but this kind of pushing him to the top of the card and really giving him that sort of unhinged, just lunatic sort of character. I think it's absolutely fascinating where they can go with this and like how this whole thing kind of breaks down. But what are your thoughts on it?
So I'm pretty sure that I said it last week. I think them leaning into the realism with Fatu is the best way that they could approach this. Leaning into the fact that he wants the championship because he wants the benefits that brings, that being on top brings to you, that it gives you all of the perks. And I really liked what Roman had to say during their back and forth about how being the champion is about more than just the belt. It's about everything else that comes along with it, along with like the family and everything, along with the whole bloodline and that responsibility, and how he's trusted to do that, but can Fatu handle that? And then obviously the use of the tongue and death grip, which I believe that was Haku who used to use that, correct?
I think so.
Is and the lore they're adding to it with that it's only allegedly used to put people in their place and that kind of stuff. I think it really just adds to Fatu's kind of like not really unhingedness, but his willingness to go about approaching things differently than anyone else.
I think like the thing I like about this the most is, and obviously there really isn't much to say about the segment. That's why we're not getting into it too much like we will the other segments on the show. Typical contract signing, right? Typical Roman Reigns. But at the same time, man, nobody does it better than Roman Reigns. And it's all the little things that he does too. Like, I notice this every single time he is in a contract segment, which is a lot because he's always the champion or he's always going after the title. He always sits at the head of the table. I
Yep.
think that is just a cute, perfect storytelling for him. But at the same time, when it comes to like the family stuff, or when you can see like he's getting a little bit, I don't know, disheveled or not uncomfortable, because he definitely is not uncomfortable anymore. But when his character is getting uncomfortable, he starts to get unhinged a little bit. And you see that with like the way he gets madder and madder and madder as he starts delivering those lines. And I just, for years and years and years before, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, I mean, we all hated Suffer and Succotash Roman Reigns. And I can't, I just can't get over how good this guy is and how much he just completely did a 180. And, as much as we like some of these other guys, Punk and Cody and Rollins and all these other big names on there, Roman Roman is above everybody. He's the biggest star in the company. And like nobody has the presence that this dude has. I don't think anybody does.
Well, he's
It's
the biggest wrestler in the world right now.
Yeah.
it's it's absolutely crazy too when you think about the fact that when Vince tried to do this, how badly it misfired and how much the crowds hated Roman versus now. And you look at him and all the people acknowledging him and the fact that people love him. I never would have thought that the same Roman Reigns that was getting booed for winning the Royal Rumble with The Rock out there would be the Roman Reigns we had today that's getting cheered the way that he is.
But also, don't forget now how many times have we said on here that sometimes an absence is necessary for certain wrestlers to have a change when they return. And they did it. I mean, it was completely different when he came back. I mean, the man got the teeth done. He's walked down the walkway and just like a T-shirt that says what did it say?
Wreck everyone and leave.
Everyone and leave. I mean, like it was the best return entrance to a change in a character probably ever. So they did it perfect with him. That's what I said they should do for some of these other wrestlers. They got to disappear some of them off of TV for a little while and then bring them back with something fresh.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. Like there's something to be said about absence and making the heart grow fonder and, yada, yada, yada. Right. But like you're absolutely right. And if you can repackage a character, I think it can do wonders. And I mean, Roman has always had all of the physical gifts as well. It was the presence and the microphone stuff that needed work. And I think pairing him with Paul Heyman, I mean, I'm sure that helped a lot of it as well. So yeah, I can't wait to see where this goes. I can't wait to do and talk about our predictions for this as well, because I'm kind of fascinated, like to see. I mean, to your point, Reese, it feels like it could be a relatively simple cut and paste WWE, disqualification thing, right? Because it's probably too soon for Roman to drop the belt. But at the same time, like where we go with this is actually, to me, probably more interesting than the match. Like what you're gonna do with Jacob, especially assuming he loses, right? Like what you're gonna do with Jacob after that, because Jacob is not like a blindly kind of following kind of guy, right? Like he's not gonna be like Jimmy and Jay. So it's going to be wildly interesting to see like the dichotomy between him and Roman, especially if Roman makes him fall in line.
So the other real interesting thing about this whole situation is Roman isn't being advertised for the month of June anymore for any of the shows. And allegedly that's because he's not going to be at Night of Champions. So I think that raises a lot of interesting questions as far as where we can go with this story.
Well, see, this is what the contradiction is. Then he just announced that he's going to be full time through the summer.
He did, but apparently he doesn't do Saudi anymore.
I
I,
don't know.
I agree with you. 100% I agree with you. Why have him announce that we're going to see him all summer just for him to then not show up for the entire month of June?
I mean, it's a very easy. They could just have Jacob brutalize him after the match is over, and just write him off, right? And then you have a completely unhinged Jacob trying to win King of the Ring or something like that, right? Like they could certainly go that route if they wanted to.
Yeah, they definitely could. But it's just like, I mean, why did you even bother saying it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't really trust the dirt sheets anymore. Like I kind of like am to the point where it's just like I'm just gonna watch the weekly television and sort of see what happens because so much of the dirt sheets, as we've said on this channel, tends to get the information wrong a lot. Half of them are still reporting things like, on the releases incorrectly, as we've mentioned about Kyrie Sane and about the New Day, and how half of the internet seems to call those releases and not, contracts that ended and things like that. So, there's just so much wild misinformation out there on a lot of what's going on. So, anyway, let's move on to the rest of Monday Night Raw, though, and because it was a pretty action-packed show, and we got to see some pretty cool stuff. So I want to talk about the official opening segment. Obviously, after Roman had kind of went ballistic and attempted to go down to the ring before Adam Pearce stopped him, he did have a really fun interaction with Seth Rollins right before he made his way out, which I think I texted you, Sean. I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was absolutely perfect. That it's one of the things that WWE has been doing well under HHH is they've been calling back on the history between people and not doing the Vince McMahon thing where it's like no storylines existed before 3 weeks ago. So like that's kind of cool that they did that. So I really love that little tease there because the work between those guys isn't done, obviously. But this whole segment was Seth Rollins, attempting to come down to the ring, and he was going to start to speak, and he basically just got obliterated by Bron Breakker. And this is all obviously leading into their match that they are going to have at Backlash this weekend, which is another one. I'm not really sure how we are booking this one. I mean, it's probably going to be a series between these guys, or as we'll talk about in a little bit here, I think we might get into some more faction warfare between these guys based on everything that went on during this show. But Sean, I'll kick it over to you. What was your initial take on this segment before we kind of get into the rest of it?
So you're right. The run in between Rollins and Reigns is always fun, and I think that this match between Braun and Seth is going to be absolutely fantastic. I'm about 60-40 on who I think is going to win because you and I have talked about it before. I think Braun needs to win this as a series, but I think Seth needs the bigger win right now. I don't know how they do that with how dominant they're making Breakker look. Because even when Seth tries to come out on top, Braun still ends up planting him. And that's a lot of times of being stepped on to come back from. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm enjoying their promos. Seth is quite possibly one of the best people you could have going up against a Paul Heyman led group as far as promos go. And I'm looking forward to Saturday with this match as well.
Reese?
Well, first, let me apologize to all of our audience for Sean's posture right now. He has someone doing a painting of him off camera. That's why he's sitting sideways in that thinking look, just so you know. All right, so this was a very good segment. I love the way the show opened up. You're right about that, Mike. The whole, Seth standing there, and then just as he says, "You're in my way," his music kicks on. What a great touch that was, right?
Yeah.
Now, first, let me say this. This was probably the best Raw in a very, 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 very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect balancing, perfect number of matches, perfect length of the matches. Still had some intriguing stuff going on behind, in the back scene. It was great. It was a really
Almost
good
as
show.
balanced as Sean's camera is right now.
Oh, there it is. Hey, buddy. I was about to send this guy a ruler.
Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo, Terrence.
Thank you.
If he could just fix that ring light that's bouncing off of his glasses, we'd be all set.
There we go. Now we can see his stupid face. Either way, getting back on topic. I'm gonna be honest with you. Bron Breakker is the next Roman Reigns. He is the next Roman Reigns.
That's bold.
He brings the same intensity as Roman does. The same energy when he's in the ring. It's a very young start of Roman Reigns when Roman started trying to turn things around, and he's starting to go down that same path. So I'm very impressed with it. But yeah, he took a bomb. I don't know how they take that spear from him sometimes, because some guys like he's really going through them.
Yeah, I mean the speed is unbelievable. I want to talk about we're going to move a little bit ahead in the show, but I think that this is fascinating because it kind of ties into it. So we had another really fun segment with Joe Hendry a little bit later in the show, again, where he's trying to get Logan Paul fired, which is hysterical. And this led to, some backstage stuff from last week where Adam Pearce was basically like, look, Logan Paul, I can't put you out there with him because you're nuts and I don't want to get you, suspended or anything else like that. So instead, a match was booked with Theory. So, those guys made their way out again. Logan Paul getting more and more unhinged as this thing went down. The match didn't really go on too long. They gave Joe Hendry some spots, which is good. And I think this is a good spot to put Joe Hendry in because you're putting him in with a main event group a little bit, like right on his call up to the main roster. But with that being said, it obviously went into chaos, and Paul and Theory were beating down Joe Hendry. And like the way the camera was positioned, you knew the Street Profits were coming. Like you knew as soon as that music hit, they both obviously run down and make the save. And things just develop into chaos. Bron Breakker comes down, starts beating the tar out of everybody. Seth Rollins then attacks Breakker as he's about to go for a spear. But again, Bron Breakker stands tall to close out that segment. So this whole thing is fascinating to me because, like, after the fact, again, a backstage segment with these guys. So when Bronson Reed comes back, do we have some kind of 4-on-4 thing going on here? And can I just say before I pass it to you, Reese? Oh my God, Montez Ford. Like, oh my God, Montez Ford. But I digress. Reese, I mean, wow.
Yeah, that was a hell of a show. That was a hell of a show. And you're right. We all knew that the Street Profits were going to come out. The music was already playing in my head right when they got to that little pause. They were beating the hell out of them.
Yeah.
There was a funny spot in that match where Joe Henry's doing his little spin and smile thing, and Logan Paul clobbers him just as the camera's on his face. I almost fell out of the chair when that happened. I was dying laughing. So, like I said, the Joe Henry thing, sure. I've never been a Joe Henry guy, whatever. I've never been a big guy with him. He's okay. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what WWE's going to do with him. I mean, the only thing I can see for him is a repackaging. He can't ride that for his entire career. It's just not possible. You're shaking your head, Sean.
Sacrilege. Joe Hendry is the greatest wrestler known to man. So, exactly. Mike understands.
Do you know who he reminds me of?
You just got to say his name and he appears. What was that?
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of I'm having a brain fart. Always hugging people. Remember that?
Hugging people.
Bailey?
There you go. Jeez, man. This is what happens when you do a podcast right after work. But anyway, remember, she was that character. She was Joe Hendry. Think about it. It's the same thing. Stupid hands in the air and everybody's waving. But it gets boring real quick. And remember, fans started turning on her and she had to change character. That's what I'm wondering what they're going to do with him.
So I think I sort of agree with your point, right? Like, I think that his character fits the NXT TNA mold a lot better. And that kind of stuff may not always translate over to the main roster. But that's the kind of thing we're going to have to wait and see, right? Because he's got a lot of he's one of those internet darlings a little bit too, though, whereas I don't think Bailey really was. So I think it's going to probably be more of a wait and see. But with WWE, they'll probably do the usual thing that they do is they'll let it go on way too long before they decide to make any kind of change with it, as they usually do.
And then release him.
But Sean, I wanted to get back to my point. I want to ask you about it. What do you think of the idea of, us kind of going in the 4v4 faction warfare here as we head towards SummerSlam?
So, with the interaction between the Prophet and Seth and some of what went on, it really kind of gave me the feeling that Joe Hendry might be used as a mediator between the two groups. Like when Seth was saying what he was, and then the Prophets got back in his face, and you kind of saw the look on Hendry's face. And I think that would be a perfect role for him to play as somebody who convinces the team of the Prophets to work with Rollins. And because what did Rollins say? An enemy of my enemy is my enemy. So you got to do
Yeah.
what's good for everyone.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the way this is going to have to go, right? Like now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if this is going to be a series. Like I think for a while, I think this is just going to be all of these bodies are going to come together and, you know, maybe maybe the faces get the win initially because they have the numbers advantage, but then Bronson Reed comes back, right? And that's how we, you know, get ourselves into something because Bronson Reed's not going to be out that much longer, maybe a couple more months, right? So if that's Night of Champions where they decide to do this 3v3 or something like that, right? The Profits and Rollins versus the Vision, you know, I could kind of see them going in that direction, but I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting, especially, if this thing, I mean, the bloodline thing will probably take precedent over everything else. If we're booking all the way out to November for Survivor Series, as much as I don't want to see another, bloodline civil war, I feel like that might get it over the Vision versus the Vision. But I don't know.
I mean, the bloodline's just a bigger overall story. As much as not everybody wants to see it again, I feel like that's your guaranteed moneymaker.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, I agree 100%. I mean, it could go this way with Hendry, where he just kind of forces them to team up or something like that. But okay, I,
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
So our first official match of the show, we had JD McDonagh defeating Finn Bálor after mountains and mountains and mountains of interference from the Judgment Day. But the story of this match obviously was Roxanne Perez and her loyalty because Liv Morgan called it into question as she saw, which I like too. And that's another thing that WWE has done a little bit more where they are like, having the wrestlers actually watch the show. So Liv Morgan made note of a interaction that Roxanne had with Finn from last week, where Finn was telling her to get out of the Judgment Day more or less. But her loyalty was obviously put to the test as she caused the finish of the match, allowing McDonagh to hit the win with her smashing a ring bell hammer into Finn's like stomach area, I guess, and allowed JD to pick up the win. So this story isn't over, but more specifically, I think this sets up the person who's going to take the title off of Liv Morgan almost 100%. So I don't know. What do you think about that specifically, Reese, and kind of where we go from here with that?
Um, I like it. I mean, we've been waiting for this moment for a while, right? I mean, it's been probably probably 2 years too late, maybe about 2 years too late. But they're finally doing it, and we knew the Roxanne thing and the Finn thing was going to be something. Um, I'm going to guess not this pay per view, obviously, but I think Finn wrestles one of them again on the next pay per view to bring it full circle, and maybe that's at the time where she challenges Liv for the belt.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how long they're gonna drag that out for. But Sean, what was your thoughts on the match? And then more specifically, what do we do with Finn, like on kind of a go forward basis?
I'm wondering if we get a handicap match with him versus Dom and JD. We haven't had one of those in a while. Maybe we get a Demon versus the whole of Judgment Day's men's side, and it just finally puts it to rest and lets him move on. Because I think if they extend this too far, it runs the risk of boring everybody because we just keep seeing Finn versus the two of them. I think the Roxanne stuff adds a lot of intrigue. I agree. I do think that at least by SummerSlam, you're going to see her facing Liv and taking the title off of her. Might not be in the first match. Like maybe they have a match at Evolution if they do an Evolution this year and Liv wins. But I think Roxanne definitely is the one to take the belt off of Liv. And I would like to see Finn be done with the Judgment Day and moving on to different stories.
You know what I could see happen now that I'm thinking about it? Stephanie could come back and pair up with Finn for a little while as well. Just a spot to put her in temporarily.
With the fact that, yeah.
Or have both of them.
Yeah, you get some kind of like intergender match there or something like that. They could certainly, they haven't done one of those in a while. I could see them doing that as well.
Well, there's been some rumors that WWE is there's been talks about doing that again.
Yeah.
So I would not be shocked if you see that anytime soon. Somebody getting slammed in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. Next, we had a tag team match between our Intercontinental Champion Penta and Javon Evans versus Rusev and All Ego. My man. God, I love him. He's so good. So Ethan Page getting a match with Rusev, and this match was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, Michael Cole commentary aside, I thought they made all four of these guys look like $1 million. Every single one of them. I know it was kind of the standard WWE formula, but Rusev especially got a ton of time to shine. He looked like a killer in the ring, like the Rusev of old. They allowed Ethan Page to look great. Honestly, the weakest link of this match, surprisingly to me, was Penta. Just because he didn't really get a ton of time in the ring, and obviously, the one who kind of took the loss, which I think Javon Evans should have taken the pin here. But that's neither here nor there. But I thought the match was absolutely excellent, and it furthers, the likely fatal four-way we're going to get between these guys at some point. But Sean, thoughts on the match and where we go from here with these guys?
We talked about this, I think it was last week, that if we get a couple months here of all four of these guys going back and forth for the Intercontinental title, I think that will make for very compelling television. I think all four of these men have valid claims to being that champ. And I think that all four of them, I think Rusev looked fantastic. I mean, Javon Evans looked exactly like we expected. And Ethan Page did the skeevy pull out the win kind of thing. So give much like we said for a while on SmackDown with the tag teams, give me some combination of these four guys every week, and I'll be happy with that match setup.
First of all, this is the first negative thing I'm going to say about WWE in this particular podcast. How did they only give Ethan Page this introduction into Raw and that lousy introduction for my guy Ricky Saints? Like
you didn't like the Ricky Saints thing?
That was stupid.
Really?
I didn't have an issue with it.
Even went flat with the fans. Fans are like, okay.
It fell flat with the fans because it's SmackDown. I think is part of it.
But come on now, dude. He's coming out and he's challenging Cody Rhodes in his first match on TV.
I mean,
what happens? He's going to lose. But he's obviously going to lose, right? We all know. So what's the point of it?
Isn't he like? I mean, besides given their history, isn't he like Cody Rhodes' nephew or like godson or something like that?
I don't know. I don't know if they're related. I know.
I thought that they were related.
I think they're just real close friends.
But either way, this is what Cody was doing in AEW. Do you not remember? Burying some of these young up and coming guys. When he was the champ, remember he was doing the same thing. I'm sitting there like, why would you take that match? Why don't you build him in some other storyline to build up his character on the main roster? It's going to fall flat. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Because they played into their friendship and their past.
Right, but right off the muscle.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think doing it that way shows that he can hang with the big dogs right away. He may have lost,
Now,
but it was a very competitive match, and he looked good in it.
What do you do with him after that?
They also did this. You know what though? I wanna take that point though, Reese. They also did the same thing with Oba as well, right? And Oba's the biggest star on the roster right now. I mean, Oba came out in that John Cena retirement show and was whooping Cody's ass, but he lost because of some nonsense. And it was kind of more or less the same thing here. I mean, yeah, Cody won, right? But kind of the same thing here. And I think Oba turned out just fine. So
Well,
I want to wait and see what happens with Ricky Saints. I really, to your point though, I hope they don't ruin him because he's friggin' excellent. And if you book him right, he's the next, I don't even want to say it, but the next Dwayne.
He already looks like a skinny Dwayne.
let me give you some pushback on the Oba thing. It's impossible to allow Cody Rhodes to dominate Oba. It wouldn't make any sense. Am I right?
Fair.
Okay. So it had to be the underdog, David versus the Goliath situation. That's what Cody Rhodes' stories in every storyline he's in.
Fair.
So yeah, that was what was going to happen. But this doesn't make any sense to me. Why not introduce him as with Cody?
I mean, I agree with you. I think it would be perfect. Like he would have been a perfect faction mate for Cody. I've been saying forever, Cody needs a faction.
Yeah, get him into a match with somebody who's, somewhat a veteran in the ring who can let him put on a good show. That's how you introduce him into the main roster. You can't think everybody on the main roster watches NXT because they don't.
True.
So you can't expect someone like a Ricky Saints to just get a pop automatically on the main roster on his first night, challenging the champ, Cody Rhodes of all people. Maybe why not one of the other titles? But Cody?
Yeah. I mean, the problem is he can't go after Trick, right? Because Trick can't lose right now either. So I don't know. I think
you got to aim him at something else. This is just like, I don't understand what they're going to do with him after this. Now, if they decide to come up with him after this, okay, I dig it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't they do the same thing with Mello? Wasn't Mello's first match against Cody Rhodes?
Yeah,
on the main roster,
and look how that turned out.
Up until very recently, look at how that turned out for Mello. Mello was in the shithouse until he won the U.S. title. He looked like $1 million in his match against Cody, though. So
they booked it. They booked him into oblivion after that. So if they do that to Ricky Saints, that's a recipe for disaster.
Right. So we need to count on the bookers being able to do their actual job.
And that's a bigger problem because SmackDown is terrible.
And I would like just to say, for defense press, you guys made my argument.
Oh, Reese, your audio, we can't.
No. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was just saying that you guys had just made my argument.
No, I mean, yeah, we did. No, you're right. The problem has always been the writing room on SmackDown, but we'll talk about that when we talk about SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to another call up, which again, this one I think they did well. Sol Ruca's contract signing, and I liked everything about this. So, Sol Ruca obviously comes out to sign her official, going to be a Monday Night Raw superstar. Doesn't get a chance to say too much before she's interrupted by Becky Lynch, which is perfect. It's the perfect person to pair her up as kind of a final boss down the road for her, right? Because they didn't necessarily say that make it like these two were going to immediately go into a feud, but they had Sol hold her own against Becky, which I loved. Really just shove it down her face about the, as I've said on this channel for a while, Becky doing her best Donald Trump impersonation. And I just loved how Soul just shoved it right back in her face. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Like, yes, Becky, we know Sports Illustrated says you're terrible. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So I thought they did just a complete knockout job on this. But I don't know, Reese, what were your thoughts on Soul, and where do you think that we go from here with her?
Fun, lots of fun. And I think, like I said, so Ruca's next in line, don't forget. I think you're going to probably, I mean, of the recent call-ups of NXT, she's probably had the most impact coming from NXT for the women. Would you say so? It's been a while since a woman came up from NXT and had an impact like she's had.
And Stephanie, probably, yeah.
Probably, yeah. It's been a little while, but it was a great segment. You're right. I mean, her coming out, calling her out, just to, let their paths cross early in her career. And, how you said, Mike, they'll lead a storyline that comes right back to it at some point. If they don't fight each other soon, I don't know. But yeah, and so Ruka's got it. I mean, she's able to talk on the microphone. She's got crazy moves in the ring. And, people are buying in. I mean, you can't argue it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. What about you, Sean? What do you think we do with Becky more specifically? And where does Becky go from all of this?
I think she's going to drop the belt to Ruca. I don't know if it'll be the first match, but I think it's going to be Ruca who takes it off of her. I think this segment was very good. I think that it's a great first feud. And honestly, we've been saying it for a little while now. The sooner we can get Becky back up to competing towards the top of the roster, I think the better it'll be for that title. And the only complaint I had about this particular segment was that they kind of botched the Soul Snatcher. But luckily, if you watched, Becky managed to sort of coach her back into making it look better than it could have. So I give them credit for that. And you got to give Becky credit for how much she has grown in the ring from being the dancing Irish jig girl to being what she is now.
Oh yeah, consummate professional. Absolutely. There's one more thing I want to talk about before we get into, I guess, the bad on this show a little bit. And that was the pre-tape segment between Asuka and Io Sky. I thought this was great. I thought they did an excellent job with these two women. Obviously, when you can do these kinds of segments with characters whose English obviously isn't the best, and they're given time, and you're given the subtitles, and you're given the opportunity to like see what they're saying and feel the emotion behind what they're saying a little bit. Um, just chef's kiss. And I loved how Asuka ended it by just spitting the mist again in her face. I think Io probably needs to win this, but I mean, definitely Io needs to win this, but I just thought that this was absolutely fantastic. And Sean, I guess I'll pass it over to you to start. What did you make of the segment, and are you looking forward to the match?
I mean, it's one thing we've always said about WWE is that they do their backstage segments and their vignettes better than everybody else. Their production on these things are top notch, and for the fact that they lost 1/3 of the part of this story, and the fact that they're still able to keep it going and be as intense as it is, I think this match should have happened at WrestleMania, but I'll take it at Backlash, and Io needs to win. It's going to be a hell of a match, though. Like, the fact that we haven't gotten this already blows my mind, because this match is going to be probably one of the matches of the year, if not the match of the year.
Yeah, I think I'm completely with you on that. Reese, what do you make of, assuming Io Sky wins, what do you make of where we go with Asuka after this?
I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you, because she's probably the most disrespected, one of them. Well, probably is the most disrespected wrestler in WWE. First of all, let me just say kudos to WWE for finally figuring out how to handle your wrestlers who don't speak English.
Hmm?
And most of this they stole from Lucha Underground. Even the way they're filming it is being stolen from Lucha Underground. There's a lot of calling back to that. And they used to do the same thing. You used to do those sit downs, and it looked like it's a real movie and everything. So kudos to them. That was very interesting, and I had fun. And I don't normally like subtitles. I deal with them with certain things, but for wrestling, I hate to have them. But I mean, you couldn't stop reading it.
Yeah,
they both performed it very well too for us having to read the subtitles and still be able to pay attention to them on screen. But it was great. It was really good.
Yeah, you can feel the like when they're allowed to speak their native language. You can, especially for wrestlers, anybody who's performing a character who has to not use their native language, inflection and tone and different things like that are very hard to fake, but if you're allowed to do that in your native language like that, especially, with how rich in tradition just Japanese culture is with wrestling, and how these women are just, these two in particular are just all stars, like absolute all stars in the in the women's division. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about that. So let's move on to, I hate to say this, but the bad. Then that was kind of the rest of this show. And believe it or not, I kind of want to start with Oba Femi a little bit because I was really disappointed in this stupidity. So Oba Femi comes down for his inaugural Oba Femi Open Challenge, and it was Tozawa. Wait, psych, it was Otis, and this was stupid.
I disagree.
But Sean, go ahead. Prove me wrong here.
It has nothing to do with proving you wrong. Obviously, it's a matter of opinion. I thought it was
My
kind of
opinion is
funny
you're
how they
wrong. Go ahead.
no, opinions are like something that everybody has. But the bigger point here, I think, was just to emphasize Oba's strength more, because obviously when they faked out with Tozawa, I thought that was pretty funny. But to see him get Otis up and hit that fall from grace on a man of that stature, we'll say, is incredible. And I think that the Oba Femi Open Challenge is just going to be used to showcase how incredibly strong and ridiculous he is until he ends up beating whoever has the title. I was perfectly okay with this, and I think Otis was a good person to start with because he's a large man to be crushed.
All right, Reese, I need you to get on my side here a little bit with this one. I thought this was idiotic, and I thought Oba Femi being wasted on the human thumb that is Otis was
The big
kind
toe.
of ridiculous. But come on, Reese, back me up here a little bit.
Don't do it, Reese.
WWE has done some really bad jobs in recent years. Have they not? Have they not? Right, Sean. Right.
They have done some pretty bad jobs with things. What in particular are you talking about this time?
Well, I mean, in this very moment, I just have to say, how dare you, Michael? How dare that was fun.
Oh
Right?
my God, get out of my face. You're fired.
As soon as he comes out of the entrance, you're already feeling the energy in that arena and you're watching it on TV. And then that's fine. Have fun, toss Otis around, showing his strength off to everybody. His next challenge will be his storyline challenge. Guaranteed. Yep. Guaranteed.
God, I can't with you guys. I can't with you guys.
That was fun.
I can't with you guys.
Right.
I cannot. I disagree vehemently.
And that's okay, because you're allowed to be wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But Terrence is right. That segment was more about fun and just proving the point with Oba that he is the unstoppable monster that he is.
Well, I don't
need that proven. He ruined Brock Lesnar.
That's the point.
I don't need him fighting Otis 2 weeks later.
Otis, it's a size thing though.
But that's how writing for shows work. Is you just had a very serious moment right before this, into this energetic powerhouse match. It was the highs and lows of it, and that's what made it exciting. I mean, you got to watch Asuka and them having this serious conversation, spitting in her face, and then here comes Oba. Come on, man, what are you talking about? It was perfect.
I mean, I love how Ober, he is with the crowd, and all the signs and the fans chanting and everybody doing the Oba strut. I mean, that's the best. I think Oba's fantastic. I love he's probably my favorite on the roster right now. I think he's absolutely spectacular. I thought this was a miss, but if you guys don't think so, you can be wrong too.
At least Oba didn't do the worm.
That's fair. So let's move on to the other thing that was kind of terrible. And that is now that we have not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 El Grande Americano-esque characters. I do not care. And why did we not have this match at WrestleMania? And why are there now 6 of them? And why are we just keep this on AAA? I don't need to see this anymore. This needs to be desperately over with. The match itself was fine. The only saving grace from this whole segment for me was before this match happened, when the original El Grande Americano was being interviewed by Jackie Redmond backstage, which, by the way, I wanted to say, props to Jackie Redmond for getting promoted to doing the NHL on TNT as well.
Yep.
Props to you. But with that said, I love how he called out to Chad Gable as he was in the El Grande Americano thing. That was kind of funny. But the rest of this, for the dogs. But Reese, I think you're agreeing with me on this one. So please take it away.
What have we been talking about that we were waiting for WWE to steal? What was the name of that match? What was the name of the match? Come on, guys, say it. We're getting trios titles, man.
I think we are.
There's trios titles coming. This is the test run. They even named the match trios.
I think you're right.
So it's just a test run. This is how they're going to introduce some of their AAA wrestlers into the main roster, is by having these trios matches. It's guaranteed that's what the strategy is right now.
To your point, I think that's what John Cena is going to introduce at the Backlash show.
Here he comes. I'm telling you right now. Right before this.
Yeah, you get rid of one set of those tag team titles. You have like a tag team title unification match, and you introduce trios titles. I think that's 1,000% the way to go. But Sean, since you are a prodigy of Master Gable over there, why don't you?
Not Master Gable. I am a true fan of the Americano lineage in Lucha Libre, and the fact that you dare badmouth the Credo Hermanos is sacrilege. Like, just because you're not aware of who these gentlemen are is no reason for you to badmouth them. And I think that I'm very curious to see the route WWE goes with this match coming up between the two Americanos, especially with the way that it's opposite how they're loved and hated in both countries. The fact that Mexico loves the Kaiser Americano, I think, is hysterical, and hates the Gable one, but then America loves the Gable one and hates the Kaiser one. I think that makes for some very interesting storytelling, and we only have about one more month left of this before one of them is demasked to reveal that it's actually John Cena under there.
I will say this: Kaiser has he's taken on Mexican culture.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He's speaking it fluently right now.
He's dating the ring announcer.
He needs to win. Like, I really think he needs to win.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What don't you know?
Because Do we want to have him continue being Americano, or do we want him back as Ludwig Kaiser?
So
I,
long as people of AAA buy his merchandise, he will always be.
yeah, I tend to agree with Reese. I think it'd be easier for Chad Gable to transition back to the main roster as Chad Gable, whereas Ludwig Kaiser might have a harder time because nobody seemed to care about him as Ludwig Kaiser. He was Gunther's lackey. He wasn't
Yeah.
Ludwig Kaiser, you know. Chad Gable is his own character who can easily go back into the trios titles and to maybe eventually trying to win the Intercontinental Championship again, right? So that was Raw. Good show. Very good show. So, Reese, what's your final rating for the show?
Wait a minute. So, are you agreeing with this, Mike?
I mean, we'll go have to wait and see.
I just want to say it. I'm aware this is a badge of honor before I give my rating. Sean, mark this day on your calendar that Mike has been changed, or his mind has been changed twice in one episode.
I know.
Twice.
I feel like I need to take a shower or something.
Anyways, I would give this show, actually, I would give it an A. I would give it an A. Everything made sense. We didn't sit there scratching our heads. It was everything, the stuff that you could say didn't make sense was still fun. The storylines have been proven to intertwine with other storylines and matches, which is, excellent storytelling right now. So, yeah, it's a damn shame that they saved this for after WrestleMania and not leading up to WrestleMania with this type of energy.
Yeah.
This is how early, 3-4 months before WrestleMania is how things should be starting and building up those storylines. And they're doing it for Backlash. That's the only thing I don't get. You're doing it for Backlash. You should have had this energy for WrestleMania, but we'll leave WrestleMania alone. That's in the past. Sean?
Yeah. I think if I had to rate this, I'd give it a B plus. I think that it continues the run of Raw being significantly better than SmackDown. I think that it isn't quite an A for me, though, because it takes a lot for something to be an A. And this one just wasn't quite there. But I thoroughly enjoyed the show overall. And as far as go-home shows go, I know that WWE can be hit and miss with go-homes. And I think this was one of the better ones to start our post-WrestleMania WWE journey.
Yeah, I think I agree. I've enjoyed Monday Night Raw on the regular. As I've said on this channel, I find myself being able to sit and watch all of Monday Night Raw, whereas with SmackDown, it's often watching it the next day so I can fast forward through the parts that I just don't care about, But Monday Night Raw has been a treat. I think the way they book new characters on Monday Night Raw is substantially better than SmackDown. And I am excited for this main event in Backlash and especially where they go after the fact. I think it's going to be so interesting to see what they do with Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns and how these characters are going to mesh and where this story is going to go. I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to see what they do with all of these new characters and the factions and everything else like that. So, yeah, with that, my final rating for the show is an all ego out of 5. So that is our show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us as always. If you are new to the channel, check out some of our other videos. We've got a ton of sports content out there. We've been doing some video game content as well lately. We're going to have a ton more videos for you guys coming up. We have our predictions videos as well, where we predict all of the PLEs for WWE, and we just started our second season of that, to which I'm technically in the lead because I did call Royce Keys winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. But
That asterisk doesn't count.
11 to 3, 11 to 3, and 10 to 4 for Mr. Reese right now. But
one more thing. I need this is for you, Sean, okay?
What did I do?
A B.
Yeah, a B plus.
There was not one match or one segment you didn't like. You gave it a B.
B plus. I gave it more than a B. I gave it a B plus.
You make no sense.
How?
No sense at all.
It wasn't a perfect show, which is what deserves an A.
Oh, A+ is a perfect show.
A B+ is a very good grade. And normally we rank it out of 5, so I would have given it a 4 normally.
Now, what gave it a B+? What gave it a B+ again?
I just don't think it was quite there as to be an A. Just personal opinion.
I'm just asking. Riddle me this.
Oh my God.
What was wrong? It was not one negative thing you said this entire podcast. And now all of a sudden, hey, it was average. It was okay. A little better than average.
I think a B+ is a good rating.
That's what Sean's parents told him when he was in high school as well. Kept him off the honor roll.
My mom tells me I'm incredibly handsome, so you shut up.
You should always strive for a C, son. Should always strive for a C.
Yeah, middle of the pack.
So, as I mentioned, if you're new to us, check out some of our other videos on the channel. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. We do read and respond to all of your chats, and we like to incorporate some of the stuff that you guys say into the videos as well. So we really appreciate all the support. And with that, I have been Mike, joined by Mr. T. Reese and Mr. Sean O'Neill. Have yourselves a fantastic evening, and take care.